person in a million can survive that.
Survive. That's just what we do.
Yeah!
Danger, I've been told to expect it. I begin my descent down the cold granite steps.
I just hope we can win a game.
And who could have turned among
Welcome back to a very special holiday edition of Survivor 2024. I am Jamie G, a survivor of more than one bad holiday party. I'm back with Magnum to give you our NFL Survivor picks and strategies for Week 17. I hope you're ready, Mills. This is basically the last real week before we close the season out with the annual Wacky Week.
You got to say it like wacky, but it's kind of fun, but not nearly as fun as like the wacky races, whacking day over on The Simpsons in Springfield there. That's fun. Grab a stick, hit a snake, but it is what it is. We're here to have fun and help you survive yet another week. That's what we do here on Survivor 2024, presented by CZGAP Fantasy Football. Thanks for checking out our show. You can find all of our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube or on social media at CZGAPFF. Same place on the web, czgapff.com. Very easy to remember, just like the flaps, FLAPS. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please make sure that you've hit that thumb.
The first order of business is to close out the book on Week 16, Mills. How did we do?
The bare minimum. I think that's the how and the what. We both hit our locks. JBG, you were very, very comfortably there with the Packers' first shutout of the year on Monday Night Football. I had to sweat it out a little bit with the Vikings, but they got the job done in Seattle. We both missed on our deeps. JBG, you thought you were on one here with my Philadelphia Eagles, and they blew it quite spectacularly. I was out of options. I went with the Jaguars as my deep, and they tried. They did their best in Vegas, but they fell to the Raiders. That's where we're at this time of year. We went with the double fade. We both faded the Falcons, starting a rookie quarterback for the first time. And early in the game, they were messing up a little bit. It looked like maybe the Giants had a little bit of juice, and the Giants just Giants that thing right up. We might have to have a discussion of whether the Jets rule that evolved into the Panthers rule is now the Giants rule, because I think it might be. On the season, Jamie G, you have hit 69% of your locks roughly. I have hit 75% of mine. You've hit about 63% of your deeps, while I've hit about 56%, and you've hit about 31% of your fades, while I have hit 19%. Your Bills also got a little bit of a scare thrown into them there. I'm sure there were some people who took them in Survivor that are like, wait, the 14 is on the wrong side of the scoreboard here early in that one, but it did work out. You did have two notable upsets with my Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Bucks at Dallas. Both were 4-point favorites, so they definitely were picking up some ownership in Survivor. And if you look at the big ESPN Eliminator contest, had almost 1 million entries to start. They're down to 3,165 over on Yahoo, where they were in six figures, 100,000 plus entries. They are down to just 77. So it is literally down to the nitty gritty here. And the wackiness might start this week. I'm not going to lie to you.
You always, always, always need to have a plan, and we absolutely need to get lucky. To begin making our plan, we need to know who the biggest favorites are this week, according to the DraftKings Sportsbook.
It's our teams up top. I don't know if that should scare us or not. Your Buffalo Bills and my Philadelphia Eagles, biggest favorites on the board. Both are favored by 9 points. The Bills are at home versus the Jets, while my Eagles are at home versus the Dallas Cowboys. Keep an eye on the Eagles because both of our top two quarterbacks have injury issues right now. And if it's Tanner McGee, that will change a couple of things. Then we have Tampa Bay, 8-point favorites at home versus the semi-surging Carolina Panthers. The Indianapolis Colts are one of the craziest favorites of the year here. 8-point favorites on the road just because they're going to face the Giants. Yes, they have been that bad. Then we have the Miami Dolphins, 6.5-point favorites going into the cold in Cleveland against the Browns, who also have another quarterback issue percolating. It might be time for Bailey Zappi this week. Stay tuned. Then we have the LA Rams, 6-point favorites at home against the Arizona Cardinals, who have been eliminated from playoff contention, but they're going to start Kyler Murray the rest of the way out, but they might be without James Conner. And then finally, the Baltimore Ravens, 5.5-point favorites traveling to Houston on Xmas Day. That is everybody favored by 5 or more points. Obviously, nobody on a bye at this time of the season. So I would expect the Colts to be very popular this week simply because of the Giants rule, and the Colts are in a spot where nobody has really used them yet this year. So get ready to really put it all on the line here with Anthony Richardson in week 17. It is going to be an interesting holiday week.
Step 2 in formulating our plan is determining who the most popular teams are this week.
We have what I would call just one tier this week because there's a bunch of teams, I should say 6 of them to be exact, that are picking up the majority of the ownership. Everybody else is only picking up about 8% or lower when you combine their ownership numbers from ESPN and Yahoo. A little bit early in the week, but due to the holiday, if we have games on Wednesday where we just got to work with what we got here. Up top, we have the Los Angeles Chargers, 4-point favorites traveling to New England as the most owned team on the board, picking up about 27% on ESPN, 8% on Yahoo. Then we have those Indianapolis Colts, 8-point favorites traveling to Jersey to face the Giants, picking up about 6% on ESPN, 26% on Yahoo. The Seattle Seahawks are 3.5-point favorites traveling to Chicago to play the Bears, picking up 13% on ESPN, 14% on Yahoo. The Rams, 6-point favorites at home versus the Cardinals, picking up 13% on ESPN, 12% on Yahoo. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 8-point favorites versus the Carolina Panthers, picking up about 9% on ESPN, 10% on Yahoo. And finally, Jamie G, your Buffalo Bills, 9-point favorites at home versus the Jets, only picking up 1% on ESPN, but 16% over on Yahoo. Some people have managed to save them this deep into the season. They were really enticed by that finishing schedule of New England, New York Jets, New England. It is quite enticing. I'm not going to lie. So that's what we've got here. 6 teams picking up the majority of the ownership this week.
It's time to get into our week 17 picks, starting with our locks of the week. And man, we're at that point. We're just trying to pick the teams that we think are most likely to win this week with whatever we have left. Not too much more complex than that. And we can only use a team once all season long as our lock.
Them's are the rules. Thus far on the season, I have used your Buffalo Bills, my Philadelphia Eagles, Cleveland, San Francisco, Seattle, Atlanta, Cincinnati, what up Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago, Green Bay, Miami, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Washington, and Minnesota. Notice that I didn't have to say Los Angeles anywhere in there. I have both of the Los Angeles teams available. I considered them both here, but I think I am going to ultimately go with the Rams. If you look at the schedule, they're traveling to Seattle next week while the Chargers are traveling to face the Raiders. I think the Chargers are definitely going to have probably more to play for than the Rams, but they're definitely going to have something to play for. So I think I'm going to elect to at least leave them as an option for myself next week. Go with the Rams as my lock here in week 17 versus those Arizona Cardinals with nothing to play for. Jamie G, so far this season as your lock, you have used Houston, Dallas, Cincinnati, the New York Jets, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Washington, Denver, New Orleans, the Los Angeles Chargers, what up Detroit, Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Green Bay. Not going to be as easy as it was last week when you had those Packers still available. Who are you locking it up with in week 16? Week 17? Oof.
My lock this week is going to be the LA Rams. Yes, I'm a little bit worried about a division game. And yes, I know Arizona is eliminated from the playoffs and really they just want to play spoiler here. Should make for a good game. I just think the Rams are kind of trending in the right direction right now. The offense has looked noticeably better with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua healthy. They went on the road last week, rallied, won one. They're back at home this week. No weather issues. I think this is a good spot for them to be able to win and continue their push towards winning this division, which, they're in the driver's seat, man. So I think they needed a little bit more. Should be a good one, but I'm going to go with them and take the Rams here, who I think are just a better team.
Don't undersell the fact that it looks like the Cardinals will be without James Conner and Trey Benson. That means they're down to Michael Carter at running back. James Conner is very, very important to what that offense does. So they were already in bad shape before then. Being without Conner is going to put them even more behind the 8 ball here. So going to be tough for them to get up for this one.
Now it's time to roll into the deep with our deep picks. We're targeting low-owned teams here who are flying under the radar this week. As with our locks, we can only use a team once as our deep. Mills, who the hell do we have left?
That is a fun question because we have to first eliminate more because we're going for teams that are flying under the radar. So we can't use any of the 6 most owned teams as our deep. So no Chargers, Colts, Seahawks, Rams, Bucks, or the Bills. And we can't use anybody we have used thus far as our deep. JBG, you have used the Los Angeles Chargers, New York Jets, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, what up Detroit, Cleveland, Green Bay, the Los Angeles Rams, Arizona, Atlanta, Denver, Seattle, Cincinnati, Carolina, and my Philadelphia Eagles. They got you 2 in a row there. How are you turning it around this week? Are you going to use one of the teams that you don't even really like just because you have to? Because again, not many options left for us here.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're in a tough spot, man, with what we have left. I'm going to take advantage of a team that's got the best winning record in the league, even though they don't really deserve to, but they do. And they're technically a deep because they're only, I think it's only 2.5 point here. So I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs Christmas Day special. I think they get it done in Pittsburgh. I know that this could be a game that they slip up and lose. If they do, hooray for me as a Bills fan. But in the event that they don't, I think this is probably as good as it gets from a deep pick for me this week.
Yeah, the options are fairly limited. They are a decent favorite here, but they're picking up almost no ownership because people have already used the Chiefs who had them. And I am in the same boat as you, although I do also have the Ravens available. So I do have these two good teams that I have saved as my deep here. But if you look at the schedules next week, KC is at Denver. I don't know that I really want to mess with that, especially if they do clinch this week. The Ravens still could have something to play for. They get the Browns next week. So I think I want to use them there. That means I'm going to double up with you. I'm going to use the Kansas City Chiefs as my deep, playing on Xmas Day, traveling to Pittsburgh. Could be a tough one, but it's them, the Baltimore Ravens or the Raiders. I want to say the Ravens, and I can't bring myself to use the Raiders, so that's what I've got. I am doubling it up with the Chiefs. Again, I'm Andy Reid, former Eagles coach, love them and all that, but they did beat my Eagles in the Super Bowl, so not the biggest fan.
Finally, we've got our fades. These are highly owned teams who we think we should avoid this week. And, we could fade a team as many times as we want.
Why not? That way, Jamie G can fade the Chiefs every week except this one. Kind of the reverse of the deeps here, since we have to fade a team that's picking up notable ownership. We have to fade one of the top 6 teams in ownership. So again, those are the Chargers, Colts, Seahawks, Rams, Bucks, and Bills. We can fade a team as many times as we want, but just so you know who we have faded already, I have faded Cincinnati, Baltimore, the New York Jets, Cincinnati again, Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Kansas City again, Philadelphia again, the New York Giants, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Dallas, New Orleans, Atlanta, and Atlanta. I got double damned on Atlanta, and I really thought about this one. It's tough to pick up here. You can poke holes in most of the favorites, but after watching both games last week, I think I'm actually going to fade the Chargers here. They're picking up the absolute most ownership on the board. They get the Raiders next week. They're on the road, traveling west to east. The Patriots really put a pretty good scare into the Bills. I like what they're building there with Drake May. It's not the most talented team, but they're playing harder than I thought. They look like they, really were still playing hard for Gerard Mayo last week. The Chargers are really struggling here. If they get J.K. Dobbins back, I'll feel a little bit better about it, but I'm still struggling to see where the offense is coming from here. Defense has been slipping a little bit down the stretch, so I think I'm going to fade the Chargers here. Do they win? Probably, but again, considering they're picking up the most ownership and you could possibly use them next week if you have them here, I think I'm trying to go another way this week. Jamie G, so far in the season, you have faded Cincinnati, San Francisco, the Las Vegas Raiders, Houston, Chicago, Baltimore, Jacksonville, Kansas City again, Baltimore again, San Francisco again, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Minnesota, and Atlanta. Who do you got this week? Which one of these big 6 teams are you fading?
Oh man, I'm going to go ahead and fade the Tampa Bay Bucks. So disappointed in their collapse against the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. They struggled with this team earlier in the season in Carolina. It's in Carolina. I don't know, man. I just don't trust the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think they've got, you know, you're looking at a slate of not many options. And you're sitting there, okay, well, they're playing for something. They're playing against Carolina. Carolina rule hasn't been in effect for the last month and a half, 2 months. Meaning that you're picking against them every week. I just don't trust them, Mills. I'm staying away from Tampa Bay this week.
He went there. It was just back in week 13 when Tampa Bay traveled to Carolina, and you did fade them there, and they did barely manage to squeak out that win at the very, very end, right? Wasn't that overtime or last second field goal? I forget which, but that was one the Panthers should have had. So let's see if they can strike back this week. I was a little bit surprised. That's a pretty healthy 8 points hanging out there. So we'll see how it goes.
If none of those picks helped you out, don't you worry. Don't worry about a thing. We've got your back, Jack. It's time for our top 5 to stay alive. We've ranked all the options on the board, and these are the best teams to help you survive another week.
Well, the bad news is, as usual, we have a tie. The good news is it's just a tie really for number four, so it's just a top five, not a top six. Starting at the bottom with that tie, we have both of the Los Angeles teams tied at number four. The Chargers 4-point favorites travel New England. Jamie G, you had them at six. I had them at five. Then the Rams 6-point favorites against Arizona. Jamie G, you had them down at seven, despite taking them as your lock. I had them at number four, despite taking them as my lock. Then we have my Philadelphia Eagles at number three, 9-point favorites versus the Cowboys. Jamie G is willing to take the risk on the possible third string quarterback here. He's got him at one. I am very, very nervous that they will be down to their third string quarterback and that we struggle with Dallas at this time of year. The Eagles have faded hard in the second half 2 years in a row, so I'm very concerned. I had them all the way down at seven. At number two, we have the Baltimore Ravens, 5.5-point favorites traveling to Houston. Jamie G had them kind of middle of the road at five. I had them all the way up at number two. And then finally, Jamie G's Buffalo Bills, 9-point favorites. It might not even be Aaron Rodgers. They might be facing Tyrod Taylor. Jamie G had them at two. I had them at one. The highest ranked team for me not to make it was the Miami Dolphins, 6.5-point favorites traveling to Cleveland. I know the Dolphins haven't been lighting the world on fire. They're technically still alive. You have all the cold weather narratives about Tua, but I think that did it for the Browns last week. I was honestly surprised that they found the end zone. And if DRT doesn't play, they're going to Bailey Zappi. The Dolphins really should win this one. I don't want to say they should be able to win it with their backup quarterback because we saw how terribly that went earlier in the season. But just let Devin Achane do his thing. The defense should be able to eat here. Maybe the defense can outscore the Cleveland offense. So I have quite a bit of faith in Miami to win this one. Jamie G, your highest ranked team to make it was the Detroit Lions, 3.5-point favorites at San Francisco. I think that's fine. I'm guessing that most people probably don't have them available still, so that's more of a luxury buy option. How about the Eagles? If somebody did manage to save him this long, you're that confident? I mean, Jalen Hurts is in the concussion protocol. It's not guaranteed he cleared. Kenny Pickett has a ribs injury. Does that worry you at all?
I think he plays, man. I think Hurts is going to play this game. I think technically, I'm surprised he didn't come back in. I don't know.
Concussion
I think
protocol, you don't really have a. They
yeah,
tell
he
you you
doesn't have a
can't.
choice, but he hasn't struggled with concussions in the past, and with where there, I think there's a lot of concern there. We've seen guys come back the next week. I think he comes back and plays, especially considering everything that's going on with the Eagles trying to still chase the number one seed.
And if it's Kenny Pickett, are you still taking him?
Yeah.
Really? All
Yep.
right, man. I saw us lose to the Giants, to the Cardinals last year, just the exact same thing. So I'm very worried history repeats itself, put it that way.
After spending countless hours making our survivor picks, we thought maybe, just maybe, it's not more complex than that. This led to us implementing a simple system. Each week, we take the biggest favorite on the board who we haven't used yet. That's it. That's the entire system. How's it work so far, Mills?
It started out absolutely terribly. Couldn't believe it. We lost the first 5 games. And so we're like, man, it is definitely more complex than that. But then the system started to turn around. We won 6 in a row, lost one, and then it won 4 in a row, currently streaking. So that brings the system to 10-6. That is not great. And we have used most of the bigger favorites on the board this week, except for the Indianapolis Colts. 8-point favorites on the road facing the Giants. A little bit worried here. I don't think I would pick it, but that's what the system is there for, to help us overcome our inherent biases and whatnot. Since that slow start, the system has won 10 of 11 here, so maybe things aren't as complex as we thought. I think it's still a toss-up here, so we're going to have to keep going and see how it works out.
Well, we always strive to be as dude-like as possible. So on Survivor 2024, we abide, man, by the wheel in the sky. Each week, we put every favorite who we have not used yet on a wheel, and then we spin it. That's it. We spin the wheel and abide by its choice. No fancy system here, just random chance. It could be good, could be bad. That's the chance.
And that's what we stole from Monopoly. We have not figured out a way to work community chest in yet. The wheel also started a little bit slow. It went 0-2, but then went streaking, won 9 in a row, lost 1, won 3, and then lost again last week with the Bucks. Unfortunately, that brings the wheel to 12-4 on the season. We are past the bye, so when you remove all the favorites that we've already used on the wheel, we still only have 6 teams available to us this week on the wheel as our options. We have those Indianapolis Colts, 8-point favorites against the Giants, the Miami Dolphins, 6.5-point favorites at the Browns, The Los Angeles Chargers, 4-point favorites at the New England Patriots. The Seattle Seahawks, 3.5-point favorites at the Bears. The Jacksonville Jaguars, 1-point favorite versus the Tennessee Titans. And the Las Vegas Raiders, 1-point road favorites traveling to New Orleans. Let us spin the wheel and see who it has for us this week. Oh, there she goes in the sky.
Wheel.
It is spinning.
Wheel.
Little legs. I can live with that. I can live with that.
All right, it's Miami. It's not what I wanted, but it's better than Jacksonville or the Raiders.
Yeah, no Jacksonville, no Raiders. I think we were pretty clear on that. So we wanted that third of the wheel gone. We're willing to accept the results of the other 2/3. So the wheel has done pretty good by us here. So let's see. Most of the time when we've disagreed with the wheel, it's come through. It's when we agree with the wheel that we run into problems. Like with Tampa Bay last week, we're like, oh, sweet, that's the one we wanted. No, really wasn't apparently. So there we go. The wheel says we're taking the Miami Dolphins at the Cleveland Browns. Tua is overcoming the cold weather narrative. It's happening this week. All hail the wheel.
Back in August, which seems like a lifetime ago, Mills, during our 2024 season preview, we revealed our grand plan for the 2024 Survivor season. How are things looking after 16 weeks?
Man, 16 weeks, that is forever and a day. The plan actually started out the best of our quote-unquote systems here. It won 2 in a row, then lost 2 in a row, then won 6 in a row, then lost 2 in a row again, and now we've won 4 in a row. The plan does not like doing individual things. It is all about the streaking. That means we are 12-4 on the season. This week, the plan has us going against the grain of what Jamie G had for his fade here, because we're taking the Tampa Bay Bucks, 8-point favorites at home versus the Panthers. And honestly, if you look at it, we made the plan back in early August. This is a home team with a lot to play for. Still, they're favored by 8. All things considered, not a bad job of planning, I think. So we will see if it works out for us. Hoping it does. You know, just kind of doing it for pride here. You never want to probably stick to a plan you made in August when it comes to Survivor, but I'm proud that we've been as good as we have been so far. So I'd like to finish it out strong here.
All that's left here is to make our official contest picks. First up, we've got our head-to-head contest that started in week 1. Mills, he's the official champion if you're keeping track, but we're playing it out for bragging rights and some side action.
So far, I have used Buffalo, Philadelphia, Seattle, Pittsburgh, Denver, Baltimore, Washington, what up, Detroit, New Orleans, the Los Angeles Chargers, Houston, Kansas City, the Los Angeles Rams, Miami, Minnesota, and Green Bay. I'm going to go with the system here, Jamie G. Why not? I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 8-point favorites at home against the Panthers. If you get your fade, I won't feel bad. I've already won this contest, so play with house money a little bit. Going to be a touch aggressive here. Go against the grain, little GP woo. You have used Buffalo, Philadelphia, Cincinnati, the New York Jets, Minnesota, Houston, Washington, what up, Detroit, New Orleans, the Los Angeles Chargers, Miami, Kansas City, Denver, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Green Bay. Who are you rolling with in the contest? Second to last week, week 17.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take look, it's a lock for a reason. I'm going to go ahead and take the LA Rams. They're playing for something. You mentioned some of the injuries on the Arizona side of the football. I like the Rams in this spot, man. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, it never hurts to double down on the locks there. So I don't mind that. It makes a lot of sense.
As always, we have to pay homage to Uncle June. We're in the 10th week of our mid-season Survivor contest, our Survivor Junior. This is exactly the same as any other Survivor contest, except that it started in week 7, not in week 1. And while Mills won the first contest, I am the Survivor Junior champion of the world.
Representing for all the little guys out there. I see how it is. So far in this one, I lost right out the gate with the Los Angeles Chargers. Thanks for that. And then I had Denver, Cincinnati, Philadelphia, what up, Detroit, Miami, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Buffalo. I have the Rams here. They were the lock for both of us. So easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I am plugging them in here for my Survivor Junior pick. You have used Buffalo, Detroit, Baltimore, the Los Angeles Chargers, Houston, Washington, Kansas City, Philadelphia, Arizona, and Green Bay. Are you doing the Mace thing? Are you doubling up with the Rams? Or are you going to swerve to someone else here?
Yeah, I'm just going to do the Mace thing and double up, man. I again, playing with a little bit of house money here. I'm not going to overthink it. Don't get cute. It's week 17. I'm just going to take the Rams.
Man, interesting week for Los Angeles. Let's see here. Thanks for nothing last week too, Puka. I know you did okay, but you could have done more. I was expecting more than 19 points, Rams.
Anything else for week 17 Survivor, Mills?
Happy holidays, all that good stuff. Make sure you get your picks in. It's a weird week. We have 2 games on Wednesday, 1 game on Thursday, games on Saturday. So if there's a week all season where you need to get your survivor pick in early, it is this week. But once you get it in, if it's for a later game, make sure you do stay on top of the injury news, the weather, all that stuff. We are in silly season. Things can change very quickly. So make sure you have a good holiday, have fun, but also, have your plan and make sure you get lucky too.
That does it for another episode of Survivor 2024. Thank you guys for riding with us each and every week. It's been 17 glorious weeks with all of you. We love you guys. Shout out to you. Make sure you throw the thumb and subscribe. Drop a comment below, but only after you share the video, man. Get this thing out there to people. Anybody you know that's playing in Survivors. We're trying to build a community here where we can all share notes, all get better, and all try to take home that cold, hard cash. Appreciate you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Enjoy the time with your family and loved ones. Stay safe. We'll see you on the flip. Mills will let you know where you can find all of our stuff.
Thanks again for checking out Survivor 2024, presented by CZGAF Fantasy Football. You can find all of our content wherever you get your pods and on YouTube. We're on social media at CZGAFFF. Same place on the interwebs, CZGAFFF.com. Nice and simple to remember, just like the flaps. Oh, so crucial to our success. Follow, like, and please subscribe. If you had fun, please make sure that you hit the thumb. And remember to have a great Festivus for the rest of us. I am Magnum Mills. He is Jamie G. And all you need to do, it helps you for your holiday, it helps with everything. You need to have a plan, and you need to get lucky.
Stay lucky, my friend.